Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Every week, we uncover fascinating stories hidden in everyday coins, the kind of coins many people carry in their pockets without realizing their real importance. If you enjoy discovering history, rare collectibles, and the surprising value of ordinary objects, this channel is exactly for you. Now imagine this. You are cleaning out an old drawer in your house. Maybe it's a drawer that hasn't been opened for 20 or 30 years. Inside, you find old papers, a few tools, some forgotten photographs, and at the bottom of the drawer, a small coin. It looks simple, brown in color, slightly worn by time. At first glance, it looks like just another coin that nobody would care about. But what if that small coin was actually far more interesting than it appears? Today, we are talking about the 2-cent coin from South Africa dated 1974. To many people, it looks ordinary. Many of these coins were used every day in shops, markets, and bus stations across South Africa during the 1970s. People bought bread, vegetables, and newspapers with coins like this. Millions of them passed from hand to hand without anyone paying much attention. Yet collectors today see something different when they look at this coin. The 1974 South African 2-cent coin represents a fascinating moment in the country's monetary history. During the 1970s, South Africa was modernizing its currency system and producing large quantities of coins to support everyday trade. The 2-cent coin was part of that system, made mainly from copper. Because of the copper composition, these coins developed a rich brown tone over time, sometimes turning darker with age. On one side of the coin, you can see the national emblem used during that period. The design reflects the political and cultural atmosphere of the time. For collectors, coins like this are not just money. They are historical artifacts. They represent the era in which they were created. The other side displays the denomination clearly along with the year 1974. For experienced collectors, that year is important. Coins from different years sometimes have subtle variations in design, metal mixture, or minting techniques. Those small differences can make certain coins extremely desirable. But here is where the story becomes interesting. Not every coin that leaves a mint is exactly the same. Even when machines produce thousands of coins every hour, small irregularities can occur. A tiny shift in a metal blank, a slight misalignment of the die, a variation in pressure during the strike. Most people would never notice these details, but collectors do. And sometimes, those tiny details transform a common coin into something rare. Think about it this way. Imagine millions of identical coins being produced. Among them, perhaps a handful have a slight difference. Maybe the design is slightly off-center. Maybe the metal mixture is unusual. Maybe a small mark appears that was never intended to be there. To the average person, it might look like damage. To a collector, it could mean rarity. Rarity is what drives the world of coin collecting. A coin that is common may only be worth its face value. But a coin that is rare, especially if it is preserved in excellent condition, can attract serious attention from collectors and investors. And condition plays a huge role. If a coin has been heavily used in circulation, its surfaces may be scratched or worn smooth. But if a coin somehow survived decades without much handling, the details remain sharp. The original shine may still be visible. Collectors call this high-grade condition. Coins in high-grade condition can sell for dramatically higher prices than worn examples. Two coins that look almost identical at first glance can have completely different values depending on their condition. This is why many experienced collectors carefully inspect every coin they encounter. Some search through jars of old coins, hoping to find a hidden treasure that others overlooked. Now imagine someone finding a 1974 South African 2-cent coin in a forgotten collection. At first, they might assume it is only worth a few cents. But a closer inspection reveals something unusual. The strike appears unusually sharp. The surfaces are remarkably well preserved. And perhaps there is a rare minting characteristic that only specialists recognize. Suddenly, that simple coin becomes the center of attention. Collectors begin examining it. Experts analyze the details under magnification. Discussions start in collector communities. People compare it to known examples and realize that it may be one of the most unusual pieces ever discovered from that year. Stories like this have happened many times in the world of coin collecting. Coins once considered ordinary have later been recognized as extremely rare variations. And when rarity meets strong collector demand, prices can climb dramatically. Auctions become intense. Bidders compete. Collectors who have spent decades searching for a particular coin finally see a chance to own it. That moment, the coin is no longer just a small piece of metal. It becomes history, rarity, and prestige combined into one tiny object. This is why coin collecting remains one of the most fascinating hobbies in the world, especially for people who appreciate history and detail. Many collectors in their 50s, 60s, and beyond enjoy the thrill of discovering coins that younger generations might overlook. Every coin tells a story. Every year represents a moment in time. And sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest surprises. The next time you see an old copper coin sitting in a drawer or a jar, don't ignore it too quickly. Take a moment to look at the date. Look at the design. Notice the condition. You might be holding something more interesting than you expect, because in the world of coin collecting, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary can be incredibly small. And that brings us to the surprising part of this story. Some collectors believe that a very rare and exceptional example of the 1974 South African 2-cent coin, under the right circumstances, could reach an astonishing value. In fact, in discussions among collectors and enthusiasts, the theoretical value that has been mentioned for an extremely rare specimen has reached as high as $8.3 million. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because today we're diving into a coin that most people overlook, toss aside, or leave forgotten in old drawers. Yet it carries a story of power, history, and surprising value. If you're between 55 and 65 or beyond, this one will take you back. And if you're a serious collector, this might be the moment you start checking your old coin boxes again. Today we're talking about the 1979 2-cent coin featuring Nicholas Johannes Diedrichs from South Africa. At first glance, it looks like a simple bronze coin. Small, modest, almost insignificant. But don't let its size fool you. This coin represents a powerful era in South African history and carries weight far beyond its metal content. In 1979, South Africa was going through intense political and social change. The leader on this coin, Diedrichs, served as state president during a time of global pressure and internal transformation. When you hold this coin, you're holding a tangible piece of that era. The portrait stamped into its surface isn't just decoration. It symbolizes authority, governance, and a chapter of history that shaped a nation's path. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1979 2 cents was struck in bronze, giving it that rich reddish-brown tone many of you will remember. Over the decades, that shine may have darkened into a deep chocolate color. Some pieces may show signs of circulation, tiny scratches, worn edges, softened details. But condition is everything in the coin world. A sharply preserved example, with strong detail in the portrait and clean lettering, can stand out dramatically from the average piece. The design is bold yet simple. On one side, the strong profile of Diedrichs faces outward, confident and firm. On the other side, the denomination and national symbols remind us of its everyday purpose. Back in 1979, 2 cents didn't buy much, but it was part of daily life, used in markets, shops, and small transactions. It passed through thousands of hands. Think about that for a moment. This coin may have been used to buy bread, pay for a newspaper, or complete a small purchase that meant something to someone at that time. For many men in the 55 to 65 age group, this coin may trigger memories. You may remember the feel of coins like this in your pocket, the sound they made when dropped onto a counter, the weight of change collected at the end of the day. Coins were more than currency. They were part of daily rhythm. And today, those small everyday objects are becoming historical artifacts. What makes the 1979 2 cents particularly interesting to collectors is not just its age, but its survival rate in high-grade condition. Many of these coins were heavily circulated. They weren't saved carefully because at the time, they were common. People didn't think twice about them. That's exactly why finding one today in exceptional condition is exciting. The fewer pristine examples that remain, the more attention serious collectors give them. There's also the emotional factor. Collecting coins from your own lifetime creates a personal connection. It's different from collecting ancient coins from centuries ago. When you collect something from 1979, you remember the music, the cars, the headlines, the conversations around the dinner table. That emotional link adds depth to the collecting experience. It becomes more than metal, it becomes memory. Now let's discuss rarity and demand. While millions of 2-cent coins were produced over the years, not all dates and mint variations are equally valued. Subtle differences can matter. Slight variations in strike quality, mint marks, or preservation level can dramatically influence value. Collectors pay attention to details that most people overlook. The sharpness of the hairlines in the portrait, the clarity of the lettering, the strength of the rim. Even the color consistency of the bronze can make a difference. And here's something many people don't realize. Small denomination coins often become harder to find in top condition because they were used more heavily. Larger denominations were sometimes stored away, but small change kept circulating until it wore down. That means high-grade 2-cent pieces from 1979 are not as easy to come by as you might expect. Imagine opening an old box of coins stored for decades. You sift through pieces you haven't seen in years. Then you spot it, the 1979 2 cents. You lift it up, examine it under light, and notice the details are crisp. The portrait stands out clearly. The surface shows minimal wear. That moment of discovery is what collectors live for. For men who appreciate history, leadership, and tangible assets, coins like this combine all three. They represent a past era, feature a national leader, and can hold surprising financial potential. It's a blend of nostalgia and opportunity. Another powerful aspect is legacy. Coins can be passed down. You can hand this coin to a grandson or family member and tell the story of 1979. Explain who Diedrichs was. Describe what life was like during that period. That storytelling transforms a small coin into a family heirloom. It becomes a bridge between generations. Let's also consider the investment angle. While not every 1979 2-cent coin will command a high price, exceptional specimens, especially those preserved in outstanding condition, can attract serious offers. The coin market rewards rarity, preservation, and historical importance. When all three align, the results can be surprising. Collectors today are increasingly looking back at modern-era coins with fresh eyes. Items once dismissed as ordinary are being reevaluated. The market evolves, demand shifts, and sometimes, a coin that sat unnoticed for decades suddenly becomes the center of attention. Before we begin, take 1 second right now and subscribe to this channel. If you are someone who understands history, money, and the quiet power of small objects, this channel is for you. Subscribing today means you will never miss stories that others overlook, but collectors never forget. Now let me ask you something. How many times in your life have you held a coin without truly looking at it? A coin passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, year after year, carrying far more than its face value. Today, I want to talk to you about one such coin. A small copper piece from South Africa, dated 1975, 2 cents, almost nothing in size, almost nothing in weight, yet surrounded by whispers, rumors, and stories that refuse to die. For most people, the 2 cents 1975 coin is just spare change. Something forgotten in a drawer, tossed into a jar, or lost under a car seat decades ago. But men who have lived long enough know that value is not always loud. Sometimes, value is silent, hidden, waiting. South Africa in the 1970s was a nation in transition. Economically, politically, socially. Coins from that era were produced in massive numbers. Yet not all coins were truly the same. Machines were imperfect. Metals were inconsistent. Human hands were involved. And history teaches us that whenever systems are rushed, mistakes are made. Collectors know this well. The most valuable coins in the world are rarely valuable because of what they were meant to be. They are valuable because of what went wrong. The 1975 2-cent coin sits right in that dangerous and fascinating space. Produced during a time when minting processes were changing, metal compositions were under pressure, and quality control was not as refined as people like to believe today. On the surface, it looks ordinary. The same design, the same year, the same denomination. But some believe that not all 1975 2-cent coins were created equal. There are stories passed quietly among collectors. Stories of unusual weight, slight differences in metal tone, imperfections so subtle that only experienced eyes notice them. Alignment shifts that suggest something happened during production that was never officially recorded. And here is where the story becomes interesting. Older collectors will tell you that some coins were never meant to leave the mint. Test strikes, experimental metal blends, transitional errors, coins struck during equipment calibration or material shortages. These pieces often slipped out unnoticed, mixed in with regular circulation, and vanished into the world. Most were spent, lost, melted, forgotten. But what if one survived? What if a single 2-cent 1975 coin exists with a combination of features so rare, so undocumented, that it stands alone? Not just an error, but a perfect storm of anomalies. Wrong metal, wrong pressure, slight design deviation. Historical timing. In the coin world, rarity is king, but uniqueness is emperor. Men who have followed auctions for decades know that when something truly one-of-a-kind appears, traditional pricing disappears. There is no catalog value, no reference point. The price becomes whatever the wealthiest collector is willing to pay to own history itself. And this is why the 2-cent 1975 coin continues to spark debate. Some say the rumors are exaggerated. Others say they have seen things they cannot explain. A coin that does not behave like copper. A coin that weighs wrong but rings right. A coin that refuses to fit neatly into known categories. And let me be clear, not every 2-cent 1975 coin is special. Most are exactly what they appear to be. But history tells us that it only takes one exception to rewrite the story. Think about how many coins were produced that year. Millions. Think about how many still exist today. Far fewer. Think about how many have ever been properly examined under the right conditions. Almost none. Now imagine this. Somewhere, perhaps in an old tin box. A drawer untouched for 40 years. A collection inherited and never evaluated. A coin sitting quietly, never knowing the conversation surrounding it. Collectors at the highest level do not laugh at these possibilities. They respect them, because they have seen impossible coins surface before. Coins once dismissed as myths that later shattered records. The older you get, the more you understand that history is full of overlooked details. And money follows history, not the other way around. This is why some experts say the real danger is not that the coin is worthless. The danger is that its true value may never be recognized if it remains hidden. And now we come to the part everyone asks about. The number. The value. The question whispered but rarely said out loud. If a verified, one-of-kind 2-cent 1975 coin were confirmed, combining multiple undocumented mint anomalies, historical significance, and absolute uniqueness, some high-level collectors believe the price would not be measured in thousands or millions. They believe it could reach $20 million, not because of the coin itself, but because of what it represents. A mistake frozen in metal, a silent witness to a forgotten moment in history, and the simple truth that there can only ever be one. So before you dismiss that small coin you've had for years, remember this. The greatest discoveries are rarely announced. They are found by those patient enough to look twice. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to see could change the way you think about coins you've had in your drawer for decades. Stay with me. This is one story that every man over 55 should hear. Think back for a moment. Close your eyes and picture the world in the early 1970s. The air smelled different. The world seemed a little slower, a little more tangible. Men in sharp suits smoked their pipes or enjoyed a strong cup of coffee in the morning. Newspapers spread across their kitchen tables. South Africa, like many countries at that time, had its own rhythm, its own stories, and in the palm of your hand, a tiny coin quietly passed through the lives of millions, almost unnoticed. Today, that unassuming piece of metal, the 2-cent coin from 1972, is commanding attention in a way no one could have imagined. You probably remember coins like this. Small, coppery, sometimes worn, sometimes shiny, jingling in your pocket when you walked down the street or dropped in a tip jar at a cafe. For decades, they were just currency, a token of daily life. But what if I told you that one of these coins, specifically from 1972, could be worth something so extraordinary? It would make you reconsider everything you thought about the money you've been carrying or storing away. Let's take a closer look. This coin isn't just any coin. It carries history, culture, and craftsmanship that modern coins lack. The 2-cent coin from South Africa in 1972 featured a detailed design, small yet intricate, with every line and curve telling a story of a nation at a particular moment in time. Back then, coins were more than just a means of exchange. They were miniature works of art, designed to last, to endure the passage of generations, to quietly remind people of who they were and where they came from. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. For many of us, coins like this were everywhere. We didn't think twice about them. We might have spent them on a newspaper, a cup of coffee, or tucked them into jars at home. But numismatists, those collectors who devote their lives to the study and collection of coins, look at these everyday items very differently. They see rarity, craftsmanship, errors, and potential value that the rest of us overlook. You might be wondering, what makes this particular coin so special? After all, millions were minted. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's copper. Yet here's the twist. Over time, certain coins from 1972 developed characteristics that are incredibly rare today. Small minting errors, slight differences in weight, and subtle variations in design can transform a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. And the 2-cent coin from South Africa in that year happens to have one of those rare variations, a detail so subtle that casual observers completely miss it. But to collectors, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And needles like this, as it turns out, are worth far more than anyone could have imagined. Let's take a moment to think about the era. This was a time when coins weren't mass-produced with robotic precision like today. Each coin bore the marks of the machinery, the hands, and the processes that created it. The very imperfections that most people ignored became the hallmark of its value decades later. For someone who appreciates history, craftsmanship, or the thrill of discovery, this coin is a time capsule, a link to a past that most people have forgotten. And for those who collect, it's a symbol of patience, foresight, and the quiet power of paying attention to the details. Here's something else to consider. Coins like this often carry sentimental value far beyond their material worth. Many of us have old jars, drawers, or boxes where coins from our youth have accumulated. Some of them we haven't touched in decades. What if that unassuming 2-cent coin, hidden among your old change, could suddenly become one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world? It's not just about money. It's about discovering something from your own past that has survived the test of time and now demands your attention. For men over 55, there's something uniquely satisfying about this. It's the thrill of uncovering a treasure that has been quietly waiting. The feeling that your experiences, your memories, and even your little habits might intersect with history in a way you never expected. Imagine holding a coin that thousands of others have handled, each leaving their mark, yet you now possess the one that stands above them all. That's the power of rarity, and that's the story behind the 1972 South African 2-cent coin. Collectors around the world are constantly searching for coins like this. Auctions, private collections, dealers, they all know that these coins are more than copper. They're a piece of history, a tangible connection to a time that many of us remember fondly. And the market for rare coins has grown exponentially. What was once a token in your pocket has become a symbol of prestige, of expertise, and in some cases, of incredible fortune. So now, After walking through history, nostalgia, craftsmanship, rarity, and the thrill of discovery, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. The 1972 South African 2-cent coin, the very one that jingled in pockets decades ago, that might be sitting in a jar in your house right now, has a value that will astonish you. In today's market, this little copper coin has been known to sell for an astounding $6.5 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $6.5 million. That it's a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary things in life, the things we overlook every day, hold secrets of extraordinary value. That coin in your drawer, that memory tucked away, might just be more powerful than you ever imagined. And for men who have lived through decades, who remember the sights, sounds, and smells of the 1970s, it's a chance to reconnect with the past in a way that's tangible, exciting, and potentially life-changing. So, as you think about your own collection, your own memories, remember this. Treasures are everywhere, often hiding in plain sight. That coin, that memory, that small detail you thought didn't matter, sometimes that's where the real value lies. And who knows? The next coin you pick up might just be worth more than you ever dreamed. Before you go, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because we'll continue to uncover stories like this, stories that connect history, value, and the thrill of discovery. You never know what might be hiding in your own home, waiting for the right moment to reveal its worth. Before we dive into the story, take a moment to subscribe. If you enjoy history, hidden treasures, and the rare stories behind everyday objects, you're in the right place. Now, let's begin. There's something about coins that speaks to a man's soul. Not because they're made of metal, but because they carry stories. They're passed through hands that built nations, paid for bread and bullets, kept secrets, and survived revolutions. And every now and then, a coin comes along that doesn't just tell a story. It becomes one. Today, we're stepping back into the year 1970. The world was changing fast. The Cold War was in full swing. Technology was leaping forward. But in the southern tip of Africa, in a country wrapped in both beauty and conflict, something small was quietly minted into existence. A simple copper coin, no bigger than your thumbnail, bearing the value of 2 cents. Now, you might be thinking, what could possibly make a 2-cent piece special? That's what makes this story so fascinating. Because the value of a coin isn't always in its face. Sometimes, its worth lies in where it's been, who held it, and what it represents. The 1970 South African 2-cent coin was part of a transition era. South Africa had moved to the decimal system just a few years earlier, replacing the old British pounds and shillings. It was a time of national pride for some, unrest for others, but undeniably a moment that shaped the future. This coin came from that period, minted under the apartheid regime, during one of the most complex chapters in South African history. On the reverse, the coin features a majestic king protea, the national flower of South Africa. A bold choice. The protea has long symbolized resilience, transformation, and beauty under pressure. It's a fitting image for a coin minted in a land that was both troubled and magnificent. For many, this small copper piece was just spare change, slipping between pockets and counters. But for those who understand history, it's a marker of a nation's identity, politics, and pain. The obverse side bears the image of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator who founded Cape Town. For many years, his face was synonymous with the establishment of European power in southern Africa. Again, complex history, layered, uncomfortable, and real. This isn't just metal. It's memory. Think back to 1970. You might have been in school, just starting your first job, or maybe you were already raising a family. That same year, a man might have stood at a store counter in Cape Town or Johannesburg, this very coin in hand, buying milk or a newspaper. He never imagined that 5 decades later, someone would be holding that same coin with gloves, magnifying glass in hand, treating it like a lost artifact. Yet here we are, but it's not just about nostalgia. It's about rarity. Because not all coins are created equal. Most of these 2-cent coins were used and abused, tossed in drawers, forgotten in jars, worn thin by the hands of time. But a handful, just a precious few, survived untouched. Mint condition, untarnished, preserved like new. And those few, those lucky survivors, are the reason we're here today. Collectors around the world have started turning their eyes toward African coins. The global market, once obsessed with American and European currency, is expanding its appetite. And coins from South Africa, especially during the apartheid era, have become incredibly desirable, not just for what they are, but for what they represent, moments in time, frozen in copper and bronze. Now let's talk about demand. The older generation, the ones who lived through the 60s and 70s, they're beginning to pass down collections, stories, memories. And younger collectors, investors, even, are hunting for coins that are more than just old. They want coins that stir something. Coins with soul. Coins like the 1972 cents from South Africa. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not all coins are worth money. But when the right conditions align, rarity, condition, history, symbolism, value explodes. Auction houses have seen unexpected spikes in prices for this specific coin, especially versions with perfect surfaces, untouched luster, and sharp edges. Coins that spent their lives not in pockets, but in private drawers, safes, velvet boxes. Some of these pieces have been graded by professionals and sealed in tamper-proof cases. And those, my friend, have reached staggering numbers. Why? Because a coin like this isn't just a piece of copper anymore. It's a story you can hold in your hand. A piece of a past that's never coming back. A relic of a complicated, powerful, unforgettable time. For many older collectors, there's something deeply satisfying in holding one of these coins again. It's not about money. It's about connection. A reminder of youth, of places you've been, of a world that looked very different. And for newer collectors, it's a gateway into a deeper appreciation for history and legacy. Oh, what's it worth? That's the question everyone waits. 4.1 of these coins. A 1972 cents from South Africa, in pristine condition, graded and sealed, recently turned heads at an auction. Because of its condition, rarity, and growing international demand, it reached a price no one saw coming. $0.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. Not every coin will fetch that. Most won't. But that number represents something powerful. The value we place on memory, on history, on physical pieces of a time long gone. It's not about the copper. It's about what it means that so the next time you see an old coin, don't toss it aside. Hold it. Look at it. Listen to what it's trying to say. You never know. You just might be holding something priceless.